This video utilises Swing Vision. For in-depth analytics about your own game, line calling and much more, click on the link in the description for a 30-day free trial and $20 off an annual subscription. The modern game revolves around topspin. Those that hit with topspin allow themselves margin for error, with additional height over the net, as well as being able to hit fast with the confidence the ball will drop in. Looking at the average spin rates of the top 100 men's players in 2021, and we can see that the majority of players hit with high levels of topspin off both the forehand and backhand wing, with a few players like Matteo Berrettini, Casper Ruud and Rafael Nadal hitting with considerably more topspin on their forehands compared to the rest of the field. We can also see that the single-handers, such as French veteran Richard Gasquet and Canadian Denis Shapovalov, create more revs off their backhands compared to their forehands, while some players hit with less spin altogether, like Russian Daniil Medvedev, who opts to hit a considerably flatter ball off both sides. But it's rare to find a player that hits with high levels of topspin on one side and a distinctly flatter shot on the other. 2021 Indian Wells winner and recent 2022 Delray Beach champion Cameron Norrie is therefore somewhat of an anomaly, posting similar RPM numbers on his forehand to the heavy-hitting Andrey Rublev, whilst his backhand is the flattest in the top 100, averaging under 1,200 RPM. But could this be an advantage for the Brit? In the past, both Andy Murray and Fernando Verdasco have spoken about the importance of playing with variety and not giving the opponent a second look at the same kind of ball. And this is where a player like Norrie could have a natural advantage. Comparing some forehand and backhand trajectories taken from his run at Indian Wells, and we can see the difficulty this must cause opponents. Take this point from the Indian Wells final as an example. 6'1" Nicolas Basilashvili is forced to contact the Norrie backhands below the height of his hip, whilst Norrie's forehands are spinning up towards his shoulders. Using a combination of Swing Vision and ATP second screen data to track the player's averages, including rally hit points, spins, speeds and depths, as well as knowing the player's heights, and we can calculate that Basilashvili is taking the Norrie backhand at an average contact point height of 0.89 metres, whilst the Norrie forehand is jumping up to around 1.21 metres. With the top 100 men having an average height of around 6'3", the Norrie backhand would be well below an average player's hitting window. A player's hitting window is typically between their waist and shoulders, although how a player grips the racket will affect this. It was no coincidence that Basilashvili struggled in the final. Norrie targeted his forehand with his flat lefty cross-court backhand, going into his forehand 46% of the time. Basilashvili, who has the fastest average ground stroke speed on the tour at 80 miles per hour, likes to be aggressive and to attack off his forehand. With the ball staying low, this was hard to execute and nullified the Georgian's best weapon. But many were surprised that the Brit even reached the final. In round 2, when he came up against world number 19 Roberto Bautista Agut, he cleverly mixed up his backhand placement. Knowing that his flat cross-court backhand would play into the Agut forehand, who himself plays with a flatter forehand grip, he instead opted to go down the line more, keeping the Spaniard guessing. Norrie swept aside Diego Schwartzman in the quarter-final to meet Grigor Dimitrov in the semi. Although the Bulgarian targeted his backhand, Norrie responded by hitting with increased depth, hitting 68% of his backhands deep to counter the aggressive Dimitrov baseline position. Norrie also made a change on forehand too, hitting his forehand cross-court 60% of the time whilst posting his highest average forehand topspin numbers of the tournament, targeting the single-handed backhand which notoriously struggles to deal with heavy topspin. At the time of release, Norrie is up to 12 in the world, his highest to date. The fact he's left-handed and has this unorthodox variety off the ground does seemingly give him a slight advantage, but that's doing him a disservice. A counter-punching player is one of the fittest on tour and is widely respected by his peers. His run at Indian Wells clearly demonstrated how tactically astute he is, proving he's got the head to match his heart and legs. He started 2022 with a bang and now has his sights firmly set on the top 10.